Kyla,
Casey,
and Carol. And welcome back to the MUN podcast.
You know what? We thought we hit record a moment ago, and we just recorded a whole intro, but didn't record it because it wasn't pressed.
which is very on brand for us. If you remember last week, we said that we had to re-record an entire episode because it just was not funny. So, it's always trial and error over here. We're just trying to make some good content, and frankly, it rarely works.
Who thought the more we recorded, the worse we would get?
Who knew?
Oh, we're running out of material.
Honestly,
fast.
a shock to us all, but also not. With that, is there a motion to open debate?
Motion to open debate.
That is in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Debate is now open. So now we
Hell
can
yeah.
continue rambling, but officially, I suppose.
Caroline
It's formal now, baby.
grabbing
Yeah.
this podcast and steering it in the direction it should be going.
I am the captain now.
Thank you for being the ringleader that we so
Also-
desperately need.
Yeah, we can't forget about.
We have a candle update. We haven't done one of these in a while. But our lovely first ever guest, John, recently went on vacation and brought us back a candle. So, he got us a maple syrup scented candle, and we've been burning it a lot. And of course, we're burning it now. So that is the candle.
Here's my review. Delicious.
Smells
Really good.
So good.
He got it from Canada. Another plug. If you don't know
Montreal.
who John is, go listen to his episode.
Episode
Shameless self-promo.
Number 5, I believe.
Is it 5?
If I actually know what this podcast
I think
is.
it's 4 or 5. It's in the first few.
Yeah. It's
in
the
the
first
early
R
days.
Block episode.
Our block, John. Hit it up. He's a cool kid.
This candle reminds me of some fun travels to Canada.
Maybe someday we'll tell you the story of Canada
Oh,
and
God.
the endeavors
No.
that we
No.
went on. Long story short, we went
Here's
to
some
Canada
teasers.
for a really short weekend trip to go skiing.
It was
Caroline
President's Day weekend.
ripped her knee apart on the first run we went down, and I mean the first. So she was unable to walk for the rest of the weekend. Casey and I skied the next 2 days and then proceeded to walk around Quebec City in the middle of the night in the negative 13-degree weather to try and find her crutches, only to find a Dwayne Reed that had already closed. It was really quite an event.
My mom's gonna text me because she's gonna listen to this and say, you were walking around in the cold and you didn't even bring... See, we thought we were popping out for 15 minutes to go to the local pharmacy or whatever was closest. But we ended up scouring all of Old Quebec City.
We genuinely walked all, from our hotel all the way to the river, which was a good 20 minutes
Hotel was
away.
outside of Old Quebec,
And then
too.
all the way back. It was rough.
Also, let's never forget the instance of Caroline in the, little medical hut, and me trying to translate this occasion and them saying, so the emergency person, kind of speaking English, the doctor speaking no English whatsoever, and me trying to convey the fact that they just wanted Caroline to put snow on her knee that was, popped out.
The lady said, I can put snow on your knee, and I wanted to tell her that I, an idiot who sprained her knee on the first run, could also do the same thing with no license. But that's for another time. Maybe we'll tell the full story.
That's a fun little tidbit for you, though. If you want to hear the rest of that story, let us know, and maybe we'll sneak it in as a bonus thing.
Maybe we'll do, a bonus episode where we just, tell some funny stories instead of Model UN stuff.
Yeah, we could actually do a poll. Stay tuned for a poll on our Instagram
Paul,
story.
would you like to hear us speak about things that aren't related to MUN? 100% no.
Would not blame you at all. We've also been talking about, other methods of communicating with y'all and some other fun things, maybe starting a YouTube, maybe starting a Twitch stream, maybe starting a Discord. So if you guys would like to see more community aspects and other interesting ways to interact with us, I think we're kind of funny and we're kind of okay to hang out with. We have some friends. So if you want to be one of those friends, let us know what you'd like to see.
If you want to be my friend, just hit me up.
Just honestly DM me.
Speaking of how popular we are with the audience, we asked, what's your favorite candle? We've had 16 views with no responses so far.
Why don't you
Well,
like
no one likes
candles?
candles.
Well, they can't burn them in the dorms, so.
Why don't y'all like candles?
Okay, so, what is the point of this episode?
Well, if I can make a beautiful segue.
Yes.
We were talking about our trip to Canada.
Yes.
Now, this episode is going to be talking about Model UN trips.
Here we go.
Specifically, trips to conference. So we're going to go through what going on conference is like from I'm gonna say we're gonna start from, like, the road trip over to the road trip back. I think we're gonna avoid, like, at least for this episode, delving into conference selection, conference prep, and we're gonna focus on more what the rigor of a conference is like and what it's like being a delegate in one. I think we're gonna, for now, avoid tips and nitty-gritty and just kind of go, like, what is it like being a delegate on conference, you know?
Yep. Yeah. No, for sure. So, I'll go ahead and start off with the departure process.
Here we go.
Ooh, packing.
Oh, yeah, that's included in this. So, our team, you know, every team does this differently. Some teams got bands, and, you know, they show out and they fly places and they can bring all the luggage they want. Not us. We're poor and small. So we all have to share a suitcase.
Poor and small.
Me, Caroline, and Casey all share a single duffel bag. I like a big one. Like a big rolly one.
She's
but
hefty. She's got 2 layers.
She's 3 people, though, in one suitcase for an entire weekend of business clothes, including suits and multiple pairs of heels.
And
it's
casual
hard.
outfits.
It's hard.
We're masters, and I'm really sad that we will not be packing together
Who
for
are you gonna
trips.
pack with?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who I want to pack with.
But we have all been sharing a suitcase for a really long time, which is
years.
a whole process. And I feel like we've all been really reasonable about it. But I will say, as a tip, if you're ever sharing a suitcase with people, be considerate and don't bring like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes. Or don't bring 2 blazers that look exactly alike. I'm not trying to call out the 2 people in this room. We've always been fine.
Yeah.
But I will say, also, don't be that person that refuses to share a bag. Because there have been people on our team that are like that, and I can't stand it. Like, if there's not enough space in the car for everyone to bring a bag, just listen. Like, it's okay to share a bag. No one cares about seeing your undies. It's totally fine.
Yeah. My undies.
Keep your undies away from me. I'm not interested.
Put your undies in a separate bag so they're not mingling with the other undies.
Disagree. Mingle your undies.
So, the departure part. We like to have everybody meet on campus with their cars because we drive to most of our conferences, and that usually works pretty well. As I was the one making the logistics guides, I would always set the departure time to be about 15 to 30 minutes prior to what I actually wanted it to be, just because I knew people were going to be late and I knew there might be hiccups, and if not, then, you know, you get to the hotel early, which is never a bad thing. So that's a top tip for you. So we have everyone meet on campus, we pack the cars basically according to who's riding in what cars, and, you know, who packed in what cars, so we can have everybody's luggage there at the same time, and then we set off. I don't really have much else to add about the departure part.
So then is the car ride, and depending on how long the car ride is, usually 4 hours. It's been up to, 7 before?
Yeah, 6 or 7.
So we gotta fill that time with something. Pick a good car group, get those tunes going. Shared Spotify playlists are a must. You know, my top 2 tracks on shared Spotify playlists are Spice Girl and Wannabe.
My 2 top tracks are Africa, Baba Yetu.
And I'm only saying those 2 tracks because we had 2 delegates on our team make a shared Spotify playlist and only add those 2 tracks.
Oh, right. Each one of them added 1 track. I completely forgot about that.
If you saw me right now, I'm like having an existential crisis about like what my 2 favorites are. I think number 1 would be the track where it's just Michael Jackson grunts, no actual music,
great.
And Runaway with Me by Kyla Rae Jepsen. Anthem, 1000% terrific.
Our team loves Faithfully by Journey, though.
Yeah, that was
That's
going to be
true.
my pick because, to be honest, the past 2 songs I said were a joke and not what I would pick, but they're not bad
good
songs.
songs.
Good, though.
But, like, they're not my top hits for the MUN road trip.
Fair enough.
I think, like, if you go with, this is just my personal opinion here, like, 80s and throwback pop and hip-hop, you cannot go wrong.
Correct.
That's true. I also feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong about dabbling in some today's rap party hits. Because, you know, nothing is better than midway through when you're tired and just No Hands comes on. It's kind of hot.
We really enjoyed blasting Old Town Road driving through Williamsburg this past spring. And I think we probably were responsible for like a several million of those hits on Spotify.
Let's not forget also on our way to Williamsburg, blasting Sicko Mode in the car, way past Sicko Mode's expiration date,
Like-
and a tractor trailer coming by with like a loose tarp flapping to the beat of Sicko Mode. If we can identify that video, we will post it.
It's somewhere.
It is genuinely...
I might have it saved.
I think it's saved.
It was so funny. Also,
Crackling.
it was, the sicko mode was so loud. It was like deafening. It was horribly loud. But I will say, both of you bringing up Williamsburg, I don't know if you saw my face like light up with happiness because I miss Williamsburg and I really want to go back.
I want to go back. Summer trip.
Truly, I haven't felt like a child in like that level of like excitement and happiness in such a long time.
I know.
Williamsburg really brought it out of me. Like, that was the coolest place ever.
That's the car ride part. Games are also fun. You can make up your own games. We tend to like make up our own games related to music and like picking songs and I don't know.
We did that. Make up games?
Well, we did that one on the way back.
We played tic-tac-toe by, like, breathing on the window.
We like to play the game of trying to hit potholes so you scare the people that are asleep in the back. You know,
that's fun to play in Pennsylvania.
We like to play the game of missing exits incessantly, regardless of who's navigating you. Yep. We like to play the game of how many cows have I seen in rural Pennsylvania today. You know, it's good.
Yeah. But to move on, so usually when you get to the hotel or wherever you're staying, you usually have a couple hours between you getting to the hotel and opening ceremonies, if your team plays it like we do. Some teams just show up late and skip opening ceremonies totally.
Which, frankly, respect, because a lot of them suck. Some of them are okay, but most of them drag on like crazy.
So, usually have about an hour, grab food, unwind, unpack. Then you get in your business attire and go to opening ceremonies. And opening ceremonies really can either be fine, decent, or horrendous. I don't think I've ever been to an amazing opening ceremonies.
No, I've been to a few good ones. I'd never be like, wow, I'd go to that opening ceremony again.
Like, wow, I was really engaged that whole time.
I wish there was an opening ceremony every day of conference.
No. Please don't speak that into existence because someone will hear that and be like, hey!
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Think of all the speakers we could have.
We could talk about our theme so many times.
Themed conferences should die. You heard it here first. I'll say it to their faces. It's awful.
That's part 1 of conference tea.
After opening, you know, you go into your first session, which is always an interesting time because it's a point of trying to read the room, figure out what your chair is like.
Awkward small talk.
Oh, I hate that. Like, if you're ever like one of the first few people in the room and someone, like, everyone sits down and it's quiet and then one person is just like, so what school are you guys from?
I'm that person.
How's the weather? I hate that.
What am I supposed to do? Just stare at you?
Yeah. Yes. Honestly, I'd prefer that. I'm not that
Kyla,
social in MUN. I'm very much like I'm here to win. I'm not mean, but it's like I'm also not here to be like your bud. That's just, I don't know.
It's so funny because I play it so differently in committee. Like, I'm not here to make like best friends, but my thought is like, if I come into the first committee session, I sit down, there are other people, and I can get chatty with them, and we can already have that kind of, like, friendliness.
Those are the people that I don't work with.
Then they're going to work with me, and usually we can get a pretty good block going. Yeah, and I can get my votes already.
Nah, I get the votes by just, like, being right. I don't know. I don't play the social game, really. Like, it's just not what I do, but it's totally cool if that's, like, what you do. That's the whole thing of breeding different kinds of delegates. There was some tea in the Reddit about that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Anyway.
Conference tea part 2. It's not even conference tea, it's Reddit tea.
Reddit tea,
hang out on our MUN, because that's what we do.
Yep. Honestly, it's really good. If you like MUN at all, or you like the podcast at all, extra content.
They don't.
Always on... Me either. Extra content always on r/MUN. Not necessarily from us, but from other cool people.
Yeah. So after the first session, you know, that's usually pretty short. I'm thinking only, 3 or 4 hours max? That first night?
Yeah. Some nights are 2. It's only a couple hours, really.
So they usually run to, 11. Like, we say 2 hours, but
ridiculous.
It's, late, though.
Shout out to MUN, because they had the best conference schedule I've ever seen.
That's absolutely
that is
true.
A fact.
No, some of them are so late, though.
So after that, we like to go back. We don't really do a debrief the first night just because no one's really established, major crisis things, made big moves, but I know other teams think otherwise, and, that's her prerogative. Mm-hmm. So we come back, there's sometimes a social, usually not. So that's usually our team night to kind of hang out. A lot of times we get pizza and just kind of sit around and chat, which is really, really good for bonding, especially when you have, freshmen on the team, and then seniors that may be outgoing, which was the case at the last conference. So that's always a good time to just, do team stuff. And then kind of prepare yourself for Friday.
Yeah, we may not do a formal debrief, but I feel like there's a lot of, shop talk. being like, hey, so this happened in my room, like, how do you think I should deal with this? Or where do you think I should go? Because there's, like, a really cool blank slate there where it's like, I hopefully built my stuff. What do you guys think that I should do with it?
And
especially if you
feel.
follow, like, the stuff that Casey's talked about before where it's like...
Acquire, allocate, execute.
Yes. Casey's arc that she's kind of talked about where it's acquire, allocate, and execute, which is a really cool way to do things.
I cannot take credit for that because that is Rutgers Model UN Crisis Handbook.
Rutgers Handbook is really good.
It is.
It's high-key. Last time I went to look it up, the PDF was gone, but I have it downloaded to my hard drive.
If you want it, we'll send it to you.
I also downloaded it to our team's drive, so we have it forever.
It is really good, but... Not to self-plug again, but we're going to come out with our own guides, and hopefully they'll be better. Stay tuned.
We'll come up with synonyms for those.
So, Casey, you want to talk about Friday?
Yeah, so like Kyla said, Thursday's a really good day to get kind of your feel of what committee's going to be like, I think. It's a little taste, basically, to kind of redirect if you feel like you've planned in the wrong direction. But I'm going to avoid talking about a lot of
direct debate
stuff.
stuff.
I'm going to avoid talking about a lot of training tips or strategy tips. We can always write articles about that, do another episode, but right now we're focusing more on kind of the event as a whole. So Friday you go in. Usually Friday's not too bad of a day either. You generally got an okay night of sleep. If you're like me and you can't sleep at conference that well, this is the beginning of your downfall. So you go in on Friday and you may or may not have rested and you're in the room, and this is typically a day where you have like 2 or 3 blocks of committee. So you'll go to committee for like 2 hours-ish, take a break, maybe go to dinner, like have a dinner break where you're kind of set free to figure out what you want, and then maybe another block afterwards of 2 or 3 hours. So usually it's a shorter day, but it's longer than Thursday.
And another thing I'll add is that a lot of times, a good majority of the conferences we've gone to, Friday start times are later because people have classes. Yeah. I really enjoy like a 4 p.m. start time.
That's high.
Because that means that I can go get coffee with people. We can maybe go to like a team breakfast, which is really cute. And then I can come back and still have time to do my hair, do my makeup, get dressed, stuff like that.
Here's my hot take. MUN had like a 1 p.m. start time, and it was gorgeous because you had like 6 hours of committee and you still got out at like 7 or 8.
That's honestly really true. And I haven't been to a conference personally that has an early start time on Fridays. I'm sure that they exist.
Yeah, I think Chomun has an early start time. I've looked at their handbook before.
And like maybe other circuits that we don't really run on have that, but that later start is definitely really nice because that is contrasted with Saturday, which is bright and early, baby. Get in there.
Yeah, that's a good segue to Saturday. Would you like to talk about Saturday?
I love Saturdays. So Saturdays...
Do you?
I do. They're my favorite days because it's like game time.
I like Saturday mornings. After lunch, it's like, I think I'm dead.
I like Friday end of days.
Because I'm a really action-oriented delegate. I like when things are moving.
I get scared.
I love it. That's
scared.
when I'm in my prime, is like, I'm my best when there's conflict and people are pushing against me. That's when I perform my best, and that's usually what happens on Saturdays, is like people get really heated and like, it's the last time to execute your plans, and like, nothing feels better than when your stuff is going really well in crisis. And so basically, Saturdays are your time to execute all your plans. Really come down on it and finish up pretty much everything. Because there is Sunday, but we'll talk about Sunday later. Not usually real debate. But Saturdays are really, really long. And we might have mentioned this, but it's really an endurance game. Like, MUN is a marathon exhausting. Because, like Casey was saying, mornings are usually really great. Saturday afternoons are when it shows who's good. Because if you're able to keep pushing and keep working and keep debating, even though you've been in committee for like 6 hours and you're exhausted and it's 7 p.m. and you've been there since 8, like that shows that you're good. And that's how you win awards, 100%.
Also, a big part of Saturday is there is almost always a delegate social on Friday. And maybe we'll do another episode talking about delegate socials and our opinions on them and good ones we've been to and bad ones we've been to. Without naming names, of course. Friday night, you go out, you hang out. Sometimes I mean, I feel like most conferences I've been to, Friday nights we're either at the delegate social or we've popped by or we've just hung out, but we're up to like 3 a.m. Just hanging out, talking, like enjoying the team, enjoying being at the social, yada yada.
Because I forget about the consequences of staying up until 3 a.m.
So fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to separate yourself from that because it's just you and people that love the same things that you do, like all hanging out, which is really fun.
Then it's like 6:30 a.m. when you wake up and you went to bed maybe 4 hours ago and you had a bad night's sleep. Then you woke up, got ready, got in your business attire, showed up for Saturday, which in total is like 10 hours of committee plus.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
So over the weekend, you're doing like...
about 17 to 20 hours depending on the conference.
Yeah.
Like of in-room debate.
Which is tough.
That's insane.
And if you're a incoming college delegate, like you just did high school, it is very different. But don't be scared by that because there are so many pluses of college conferences that outweigh that. And it also is a really, really great learning experience and you get your money's worth because you are in there and you're working and you're learning and it's a great experience. It is just very tiring.
Like Kyla said before, Saturday is really where it shows who can go the distance and who's going to burn out because there are some delegates. I will say Thursday, it seems like you're kind of afraid of everybody in the room because everyone's talking and you sometimes feel like you can't get what you want in to debate when you want to because everyone's placards up. Saturday afternoon, you typically do not have that issue.
The chair is begging for people to speak.
Yeah, the chair is like, dear God, can someone raise their placard before I quit this conference and lose hope in everything I do? Mm-hmm. I repeatedly tell people time and time and again going into Saturday, you need to keep pushing. You will see people drop. Like, you'll see them drop off in ability. This happens to me too. Your mind is screaming, like, just sit there. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm exhausted. This doesn't matter. I don't really care. Like, let this go. But you need to, like, find it within yourself to keep pushing through and keep performing at the same rate. Because as, like, we'll segue into Sunday, Saturday night is when things are decided, awards-wise. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to speak for every single conference, but I know on the collegiate level, at the circuit we do, Saturday night is your last time to make an impression. If your last impression is you being lazy and tired, even if everybody else is, it's not going to stick out in people's minds.
And even if you did incredibly well on Thursday and Friday and Saturday morning, if you can't bring that home, then what was it all for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's your concluding time.
And a lot of conferences weight the different days of debate differently, which
That's
I really
true.
appreciate. So someone debating really, really well on Thursday for 2 hours will not have the same weight for awards as someone doing incredibly well at the same level on Saturday, but for like 6 to 8 hours of debate.
Yeah.
Which is really appreciated. The Saturday night social is usually way more...
I feel like the Saturday night social is the one that is like their big one.
Yeah, it's like more involved.
It's like a party.
It's just like, I feel like they put more money into it. There's usually food
It's
and
the
a
bigger
DJ
one.
and like a whole event thing. Whereas most of the time, not for everybody, the one on Friday is usually more of like a hangout. Like, we all
it's
chill.
like a kickback versus like a big dance party.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the one on Saturday is just like a big party, like a lot bigger, you know, but it's also a lot of fun because it's kind of the end of conference and the last time you'll really be able to see these people that you've met over the weekend socially, and then you, like we do, always come back, hang out with our team, and then go to bed. Then Sunday committee starts about the same time as Saturday. Sometimes it starts a little bit later just because you don't have as much. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 hours of, I'm going to say debate, but note that I'm putting air quotes around it. It's not debate, it's Fun MUN. If you don't know what Fun MUN is, it is basically if you're in a committee on the Civil War, aliens will somehow come in and invade and kill an entire side of your army. Just because crisis is done, awards are decided, people just kind of want to joke around and have fun. A lot of times it's like an hour of Fun MUN and then an hour of superlatives and whatever else.
Most of the time I show up and it's like, we don't even do Fun MUN. Like, we just
I've
sitting
never
there.
done Fun MUN before
I've done Fun
because
MUN before.
everyone has been like, yeah, I don't wanna. Which I firmly agree with. I'm usually exhausted and would rather just like sit around and chat and do crisis arc reveals, which is my favorite thing.
I love crisis arc reveals.
so
Basically
fun.
where you tell everyone your secret plans that you've been doing the whole time. And sometimes people kind of know what you already did because it's come out in room. And then sometimes, I think we mentioned this on the last podcast, you haven't heard anyone speak at all, and then suddenly they have something in crisis that no one even knew about.
There's nothing more satisfying though than like being able to finally be like, oh yeah, and like all this stuff that happened in Crisis, I did that. Or like, you were killed, sorry man, that was me. And like that sort of stuff. It's just, and also like to hear things that other people did. I don't know, that's usually where I look up to delegates the most, is where I hear people have really incredible crisis arcs and you're just like, wow, like how did you do that? I don't know, that's where I feel like usually the most impressed.
A lot of the time, crisis arc reveals, I will feel like I had a really good arc compared to everyone else, or like an adequate arc, and then we'll go into awards, and someone who literally did nothing in Crisis sometimes has awarded, and I don't know, it makes me mad. So sometimes I kind of wish I didn't know what they did in Crisis, so I'd be like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Kyla, I thought you were gonna say, I love in crisis arc reveals when you feel kind of threatened by a delegate, like going into awards, or, you know, just someone else who kind of looked like they had everything together go, yeah, well, I didn't really know what to do, so I didn't do anything.
That's
and you're
also
like,
very much
so
something
true.
that happens. And also there's like times where people that are power delegates in the room, you get to them in the crisis thing, they did like 2 things that are absolutely useless. And that also is like,
you gotta bounce.
Yeah, it just, I think it's a really good time to get insight because you've seen everybody in the room, but you have no idea what they're doing otherwise. So it's kind of nice to get a full picture of the room that you've been participating in all weekend. Superlatives are also fun because it's basically like everyone chooses superlatives, where be it like best dressed or best debate or whatever, to
Some
things
of them are
like
spicy.
some are
Some of them are
spicy,
really
like
spicy.
biggest snake or most likely to get murdered and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I got most wanted in one of... Actually, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I think I got it out of an episode. But I like to measure my success in committee with how many people tried to murder me. And the more people who tried to murder me, the better I think I did in committee.
I judge it by how many times I get murdered per committee, which is pretty much every single committee, sometimes multiple times a committee. That was my shtick in college MUN, and, you know, it was fun.
Knock on wood, I've never died in committee, but we'll see if this season changes it, but I don't know, I kind of want to keep that streak going.
You gotta get killed once and live that life. Don't do it every committee. It's kind of hard. It's a lot of work, but it's impressive if you're able to come back from a death.
Oh, it's so impressive.
So, you know, pros, cons.
So after superlatives and everything winds down, you go into closing, which is like how to raise the anxiety of like 300 college students in one room.
Look, it is leg shake central on our team side. I shake my leg, like my other friends shake their legs, so you just look down the row and it's like it looks like a sea of just like legs tapping because we're all so anxious.
I have a video of people's legs just bouncing up and down from like 20 delegates in a row. But basically closing ceremonies, usually people like to wrap them up quickly because every single speech starts with, I know when people hate when closing ceremonies goes long. You know, so does opening ceremonies, but those always tend to actually go long. But in closing ceremonies, it basically is like, you know, the DG or the SecGen does a little spiel about thank you for coming. Depends on like what kind of order they go in. And, you know, thanks to the SG for their work and the Secretariat. Then it rolls into awards, which is really what people are there for. And awards go through each committee, and then they announce from not bottom to top, but they go 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, you know, verbals to honorable to outstanding to best. And then they do team awards based on size and kind of weighted score of individual awards against how many team members were brought. But that is really when the truth comes, you know, and people always have the opinions about how awards turns out, and there's always people who are elated or disappointed. It just, honestly, it's always a mixed bag unless you sweep, which I know some teams do every single conference, but I'm pretty sure most teams do have conferences where they're disappointed or overjoyed. It's just, it comes with the territory, so you gotta learn to be a good winner or a good loser.
Exactly.
And because some things that you value personally as a delegate, maybe the dais didn't value, or maybe crisis staff didn't value the same way as they valued other things.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, if you win on your team, keep in mind that other people lost. Don't be a jerk about it. And if you lost on your team, keep in mind that other people won. So
don't be a jerk about it.
Everyone just be happy for one another and just relax, because I've seen too many times, be it on pretty much every team, you know, people get really serious about awards, be it over celebrating or being way too upset about things and taking things super personally. It's just not the right team atmosphere. So I would really, as a tip recommend against that, and just remember that you're there to learn and to grow and to have a good time as a team.
Also, can I say a quick thing? For me personally, going up to your dais after you've lost an award and getting angry at them about it is not a good look.
Yeah, that's not cute.
That's just my...
And there's a difference between saying bye and thank you to your chair and stuff, especially if you connected with them, because I've had some really cool chairs, I know we all have, where you want to say thank you, or like, even if you want feedback, but maybe ask for an email, be like, hey, could you email me some feedback or something?
And
like,
most people exchange, like, Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah.
so, like, DM them, send them a message. I've had, like, chairs say, if you want, you know, tips, reach out, and after my first conference, I did that, and they responded to me, and we had a good chat. Like,
yeah.
Whatever you do, especially at award ceremonies and MUN, do it graciously.
Yes.
Whether it's good or bad, just, I understand there's emotions on both sides, but always keep in mind that, like, at the end of the day, we're all very competitive. A lot of the people in Model UN are very type A. We want things to get done. We want to win. We want to be on top. Like, nobody goes into a competition wanting to lose.
Yeah, I just think realize that everybody's there for the same purpose, and, you know, treat everybody with respect, especially the staffers, because, you know, they're donating an entire weekend of their time and hard work just to do something for you, so you being mean to them because awards didn't fall in your way is really disrespectful and sad.
Yeah. So now we've got the conference car ride back.
Which can be fun
It
or
can-
not
like
fun.
a massive... Okay, if you didn't get a team award, a massive crash in, like...
Yeah.
You're just so tired, man. I think
You're
that's part of
Most
it.
people
exhausted.
sleep on the way back,
Yeah.
but there have been times where,
I
like,
always fall asleep.
we have, not to, like, flex or anything, but there have been conferences where we've, like, done really, really well, and those car rides back are hype, man. Everyone's so excited and, like, jazzed, but I mean, at least for, like, the first 2 hours, and then everyone goes to bed.
Passes
And then
out.
everyone
It's,
sleeps.
this is really, the attitude sticks around for maybe like an hour or two in the car, and then it's sleep time.
Yeah, positive
Except
or
for the driver.
negative.
You
The
get in
driver
car,
cannot sleep.
It is illegal. You may not.
You get in the car, you play We're the Champions, you play probably some other songs, or if you lose, you play White Flag by Dido.
Or like the one that's like, hello darkness, my old
Yep,
friend.
that one. You play some sad songs. You laugh about it. You come up with Instagram captions about how you lost and how you're going to make a joke out of that.
Everyone gripes together collectively, and we
And
all
then-
laugh it off,
and
hopefully.
then you laugh, and then you immediately fall asleep.
Ha ha ha!
I can't sleep
Out.
in cars, so I never sleep.
I know. I'm
which
sorry.
is kind of a bummer, but that's okay because it makes for a thick night's sleep that night
It
when we
does,
get
yes.
back. And being able to sleep in your own bed after being in a hotel room, getting like 4 hours of sleep a night is so hot.
Oh my God, it's so nice.
Ooh, something about that. And the shower.
I go on conference just to re-enjoy, or like reappreciate my bed.
The post-conference shower.
It is the best shower you will ever
I'm gonna
take.
clean the motel off of
Hits
me.
different.
It does. Oh, post-conference showers,
post-conference
man.
shower.
Conference is great in very special moments, and I feel like the best conference is like looking back on it. But most of the time while you're at conference, you're like, I'm really out here grinding. Like, not even using that as a joke, but
It's
you're just like, oh god,
worse, man.
why'd I
Much
go on
worse.
this?
Your brain is going 1,000 miles an hour the entire time that you're there.
It's like, you always have to be on in committee. You're on. You're
And
you're
even
on crisis. You're on
socially,
debate.
you're,
You're
like,
on socially.
on because you're like having to be. Even I'm not saying that it's a chore to like hang out with your team or anything, but it's like, you know, you're hanging out with people. It's not like you're just vegging out in your bed. Like you're
No alone time.
on none.
None.
And after using your brain for that long, you kind of need it. So it gets real tiring.
My favorite thing is the three of us coming home, well, especially now that we live together, coming home, immediately dropping our bag, one person saying, I'm taking a shower, and the other people saying, okay, I'm going right after you. And then we all just lay down on our beds and just kind
Nobody
of...
talks.
Nobody talks.
We don't speak to each other for an entire 24 hours, and then we're good.
Mandated post-conference
That's
silence.
that's not even a joke. Like, I think there have been times where we've gotten back from conference and we've gone our separate ways and taken our showers and, you know, gone to sleep. And then literally haven't spoken to each other until the next evening.
Like, we'll go back to classes, do classes,
Mm-hmm.
not having spoken to each other, come back, and we're like, at dinner, hey.
No,
how are you?
the first thing is usually, so what are we having for dinner?
Especially now that we like live in an apartment, but especially like in dorms and stuff, because we've lived together for a few years now, but we lived together in dorms first. And the circumstances when Casey and I would like share this tiny little baby room, but literally not speak to each other for like 24 hours, just because we both respected that we needed that space. So we gave each other the silence wall, which was frankly
An
beautiful.
imaginary line going down the middle of the dorm.
It kept us sane. It did, because we needed that time, and it was good. God, it's so hard to be rich, let me tell you. This podcast is bringing in so much cash. Like, not to flex, but we are rolling in it
Not
right
to
now.
flex, but, like, we bought a little tiny Hamilton Beach blender that's, like, a single serve.
Casper Mattress has funneled so much money into this podcast. Boo, boo, boo. That's like the sound the ad makes when you're listening to a podcast that actually gets ads.
Sure.
When you get back from conference and you're exhausted, why don't you just want to lay down on one of our comfortable, nice Casper mattresses delivered right to your door? Unroll it and stick it right on that box spring and go to sleep on it. Casper Mattress. Boo, boo, boo.
This is not sponsored.
I'm glad we have money now, because honestly, that Hamilton Beach blender brought my bank account down to $27 because I am waiting on that first paycheck to hit, and boy, oh boy, do I feel poor.
All right. I'm just going to interject here.
Yeah.
I think all of us are getting very sweaty since we're in an apartment right now. Everything, all the windows are shut. We turned the air off so that you would not hear the whirring of the AC in the background.
Everything we do for you.
We have sacrificed so much for this podcast.
We're in the red currently, both, like, heat-wise and money-wise.
Yep.
MUN 1 is taking so much out of us. So I think I'm going to look for Emotion to Close in May.
101 is like a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week conference that we're on.
Motion to close debate.
That is an order. All those in favor.
Aye.
Debate is now closed.
Point of information, what are your social medias?
You can follow us on Instagram at MUN01 Podcast, and you can email us any questions or comments that you may have at mun01.business@gmail.com.
And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to rate and review us.